And now to bring in Dave Cravel as soon as he unmutes. I have a dashboard the audience can't see. Dave and I go, well, we're actually on a show together, iHemp Hour. He's going to be talking about the Industrial Hemp Association in the segment to follow. But then Dave also makes money as a marketing person. And so he was telling me about this months ago, and I kept trying to get him on the show, and I kept forgetting to schedule him. So this time we do have him on the show, and his company is called Advantage Intelligence Marketing, and it's a web-based application, essentially software as a service for organizers of ice hockey pickup events. And Dave is, we call him Gordie Howe too. So he's an ice hockey player, and he organizes his group, and then that's where the idea came from, right? You figured it out for your own folks, and now you're selling it.
Well, the women in my life, Kathleen, have been very influential, I should say. But yeah, in fact, can I share my screen?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Pull up this picture because
okay, now you can.
So I just wanted to share this. This is a picture my mom took of me back in 1977.
Wow.
Calling people to come play hockey. We played a lot of street hockey back then because I was in South Jersey. But so hockey's been a big part of my life for a long time, and I'm one of those personalities where I tend to take charge and organize things. There's usually one in the room, right? And over the years, we've used a few different technologies to make it easier, because I'm always looking at technology as a tool. I don't care for technology for the purpose of technology, but as it makes my life easier to manage. And Kathleen, you were just talking about, and she was just talking about an event, and when you're organizing an event, a weekly event of 24 grown adults, it becomes problematic, because you would think there were grown adults that they would follow through and communicate, and you would know what's going on, and you want it to be, when you're playing ice hockey, you want there to be the right number of people and the right people. And then there's other considerations too, Mike. You're going to be surprised to learn this, but beer is involved.
Oh no!
We need to know what beer
shocked, I say. So
yeah, we need to know what beer to have in which locker room. So, I've used a few different websites. There's a company up in Toronto that I think they've gone out of business since then, but it's like Who's In, and we tried that for a while, and it was okay. And then we built our own app. So we had an app in both the Google Play Store and in, at Apple iTunes. But that was expensive, because they're always making changes that don't affect you, but then they want you to do something to comply with whatever it is that they've dreamt up to keep you busy, and then you have to pay them annual fees. So it's just a burden, to keep the app going. And this is more for fun, than for profit. But I've always had in the back of my mind, I want a system that isn't just for me, because what I've done in the past is just systems for me to take the effort off of calling and texting, and use spreadsheets or notepads to keep notes and try and keep a track of who's in, for that week. And so we've developed a cloud-based app. It's a website. It's called Perfect Skate, and I'll share that with you. This, it takes all the hassle out of it, because there's automated reminders. And one of the things in marketing that I've always really stressed with my clients is the value of a list. So I have a list of about 700 hockey players in my region, and even the rinks, many times they don't have that many hockey players on their list. But I've developed this list because I've worked it. And So you have to have that list, and then you have to have a way to engage that list. So we've built everything in, so you can create private lists or public lists, and it's automated. We're using Firebase, which is a Google product, really super affordable. Everything's hosted in the cloud. We're using the latest React. I'm not the developer, so I'm not going to be able to talk real deep on the development side, but it's the latest Node.js, JavaScript, or, my developers tell me it's like Netscape. When you're browsing on Netscape and you go from one show to another, it loads pretty fast compared to what you're used to on your desktop computer, and that's because of the technology behind it. So we're using a similar type of technology. And it's real important that the guys get their drink preferences right, so we know.
You don't want to have a riot on your hands.
Well, some guys want that light beer, and not the fully leaded one, or they might want a sports drink. So when my wife was helping me out, that's the only reason I could get her to come to the hockey rink, Mike, is if she could collect money.
Oh, of course, sweet Sue, yes.
so she would show up, collect the money, mark what guys would go into what locker room, and then tell the rink to order up the beer, and then it shows up in the locker room. So when we get done skating, our beverages are waiting on ice. It's a beautiful thing. So, and then it's kind of like the dishes at home, when you mess up doing the dishes, you get fired, right? At least it could work in theory, I've heard. But
have you been fired by your wife several times, Dave?
I've tried. It hasn't really worked.
Okay, all right.
But whoever complains the most, we put them inside, as far as balancing the teams. So you have an event of 24 people. So there's 2 goalies and 22 skaters. So you need to divide those 22 skaters into 2 teams and try and be balanced, because it's no fun for either team if it's one-sided one way or the other. So whoever complains the most, I assign them as coach, and they can go through and select white or dark jersey, to set up the teams, because this is just pickup. It's not, I run a hockey league as well, but this is for just pickup practice. Friday night we're skating at 8:00. Who's in? Who's going to come play? And so everything's thought through in the system, and organizers just come to the site and they sign up to organize their list. They create their list, they set up their rinks, and they organize their events. So when you're on an event, you can see who's in for the event, and the person who, if I can get here to assign jerseys, it's as easy as just clicking a couple buttons, to set up the teams, and you see them side by side as you go. So you can say, oh, this, try and match people up skill wise. So, it's worked really well. We just launched this. It's been in development for about 8 years, through all the different iterations we've gone through. But in the last 18 months or so, we developed this technology that we're using now, and I'm just about to take it on the road. And
so that first slide that you had up, Dave, you said it was 29 cents a player. That is per event, or are you thinking maybe in the future to do this as a subscription basis, where you bill whatever the organization is? I heard you say call it pickup games, but there's some group behind that benefits from that, right?
No, it's just one individual that's willing.
Oh, okay. So if I'm a hockey player, I just, I just throw my money in the hat.
Yeah. Okay. Let's back up and look at that. So a sheet of ice costs around $300.
Right.
And someone has to take responsibility for it with the rink. So generally it's somebody who's running a team, or he has a lot of friends, and he's willing to step up. And over the years, you'll see like a Wednesday night skate or a Tuesday night skate. It'll get handed off. In a couple of years, somebody get burned out on doing it. And it's like, well, we don't want it to stop. So somebody gets talked into, okay, I'll be the dummy. I'll do it for a while. And that's how these pickup games have gotten handed down over the years.
So what's the involvement of the rink, of the venue?
Right. That's where I was going, Matt. And what's the business? In other words, what's your business model? Are you going to do this as a subscription and have the rinks promote it?
No, that's the, I'm glad we're going down this road. That's interesting. So, I looked at that, doing it as a subscription, but let's look at the numbers. So, you have let's just go with $300 for the cost of the ice, and you're going to spend another $30 on a case or so of beer. And each guy coming in the door, you have to collect from everybody, is going to pay between 15, 20 bucks to attend that event and participate. So each individual player pays for their own ice time. And then the organizer takes that money, pays for the beer, pays for the rink, and that's the end of that event. And then we do it again next week. So if only 16 people show up to skate, that organizer still has to put out $330.
Right.
He's taking a risk. So what with my method, it's going to increase the odds and increase the likelihood of them filling that sheet of ice for every event. So what I looked at is it's the value of that event at that time. So if we just take 29, we're charging the organizer 29 cents for each skater that's in the system and on that specific event.
Okay.
But he's able to send messages to his entire list. So on the back end, we have text messaging software and email software that has a real cost to it, and it's automated. So there's some hard cost associated coming out of that 29 cents. But there's around 4,000. There's over 4,000 rinks between the U.S. and Canada. And at each rink, there's probably 3 to 5 guys like me organizing a sheet of ice. So my goal is to get over 1,000 organizers in the system. So right now it's going to cost around $5 an event to the organizer, but it's going to save him probably 2 hours a week. So that's a pretty fair trade-off, we feel. Most people would say that saving a couple hours is worth $5.